Hey Anthony, how's it going?
Good. How can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me okay?
Awesome. I can hear you.
Awesome, great. Yeah, I've been doing the no headphones thing and I just started using them last week and it's a game changer. So
For
I'm
sure,
glad
for sure.
I'm glad
I'm
you can hear me.
outside. There's some traffic going on right now. I'm downtown, so I thought I'd use the headphones.
Oh, you're good. You're in like Dolby Digital right now. So
Excellent. The same with you.
yeah. So I'm gonna give a quick background on you and then we'll just jump right into it. And
Sure.
then we'll learn a little bit more about you. So born in Boise, you're an Idaho native. Studied globalization in Argentina, received your bachelor's from the University of San Diego. You worked in DC, District of Columbia, as a political consultant and earned your law degree from University of Idaho. I feel like U of I has come up a lot recently, but go Vandals.
Go
Part,
Vandals.
partner and co-owner of the Boise law firm, Fisher Hudson Shallat. You run a small apparel company on the side, Keep Idaho Public, and you donate a portion to public land organizations. You've represented all types of clients, including beverage distributions, an e-scooter company, a cryptocurrency alliance, but you're currently focused on helping startups and entrepreneurs grow their companies. And you recently you were nominated or you received an award from Idaho Business Review's Accomplished Under 40. So quite the extensive resume, Anthony. That's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Thanks. I wanted to make myself sound industry and interesting for everybody out there, so hopefully I succeeded.
No, it definitely did. Definitely did. So how about we just jump right into it? Anthony, what do you do for work?
So my day job, what I do, earn an income, is I'm an attorney. I represent all different types of individuals. I try to help them solve whatever problems going on with their life or their business. I advocate for them. I listen to them. I resolve disputes, and I try to provide value to all my clients.
Sounds like a very nice way to earn income.
Yeah, it's not bad. When I first started out working as an attorney, I was
Mhm.
just grinding and I didn't really get a feel for exactly what the job entailed. But the older I got and the more experience I got, I learned that, I can really be an advocate for people, but I can also pick and choose what type of individuals or businesses I represent. So what I've done is try to focus on things that interest me and try to guide and steer my practice areas towards the things that I find interesting.
Do you feel like you're in a pretty good groove right now? I mean, you mentioned like the trajectory a little bit to get to where you're at.
Sure.
Um, do you think you're kind of in a good spot right now as an attorney, or where
Yeah,
do you feel you're at?
I like where I'm at right now because I've got a lot of flexibility. I'm kind of in control of my own destiny. I get like I mentioned before, pick and choose who I help out with. What cases I take on. Um, it's an interesting groove to be in.
Mhm.
The one thing about it is there's a lot of kind of instability, and I would say that there's months that go by where I kind of question what I'm doing, not from a standpoint where I always love what I do, but there's months that go by where it can be a little bit difficult on the finances, and then there's other months where I feel like I'm hitting that groove that you mentioned,
Yeah.
and things are working out really well for me. But that's kind of the ups and downs, that come with having your own practice.
And what are some factors that you look into when you pick and choose your own clients? I mean, we mentioned earlier beverage distributions, an e-scooter company, cryptocurrency alliance, and now you're focused on entrepreneurs. But what's the deciding factor when you pick and choose?
Uh, if I could pick like the perfect client, it would be someone where they have a business I think is cool. I think something that's innovative, a disruptor, something that I would personally enjoy doing.
Hmm.
That's where I get the most passionate about my job. Is working with clients. I look at what they're doing. I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. Can I be a part of that?
Without giving any names or anything like that, can you give like one example of something that's really cool and you've recently worked on or
Yeah, I could give some names. One of the clients that I represent is, like I mentioned, a cryptocurrency alliance.
Mhm.
It's a group of people who have invented a new cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
and it's called Somecoin.
Okay.
And what it is essentially an index fund of the top 100 cryptocurrencies. So just like the Dow Jones, it kind of indexes what the top cryptocurrencies are, and then the value of the coin kind of rises and falls is based on the market cap. So that's a really interesting project, working with a group of really interesting inventors there.
Yeah.
And they speak a different language, and I speak a different language, and I speak the language of the law, and they speak the language of cryptocurrencies. And it's my job to kind of interpret, the legal language into the cryptocurrency language.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you have to keep up with, it almost seems like, I mean, if you're going into cryptocurrency, you have to know the field, I guess, to some degree. I don't know how in depth you have to know it because you're also working with the client, but I mean, I've learned about Bitcoin and I still have no idea what it is.
I don't know a lot about. I know a little bit about a lot of different things, but I know very little in depth, and that's where I learn from my clients, and that's part of the fun part about my job is I get to learn along the way. They live the experience, and I get to learn the experience.
Okay, so that would probably do a nice transition for, what are some of the favorite aspects of your job? I guess I can just ask right now.
It's definitely meeting, like I mentioned, entrepreneurs, meeting small business owners is one aspect I like about it. Being in control of what the type of clients I get to take on is great too. One thing I also enjoy doing, and one of the reasons I became an attorney is advocating, on behalf of people who sometimes can't or don't really have access to justice. So there's portions of my job, where I get to make real differences in people's lives. I like a lot too.
Hmm.
And I guess it's finding that balance between, choosing, the young successful entrepreneurs, and then, making sure they make time to help people who might not be in such a good situation either.
Yeah.
But definitely the best part of my job is meeting my clients and getting to learn a little bit more about their lives and the personal relationships I develop.
That's awesome. And I got to ask this question because this came up in a conversation the other day. I was saying I'm not to your point as well as an advocate for anybody else, but I like to advocate on other people's behalves. But I find myself not really doing that so much for myself. I don't know.
Sure.
Do you ever find yourself in that situation?
I find myself in the situation where I have to, kind of pick and choose who I can advocate for.
Hmm.
And that's difficult because there's a lot of people out there, who want my help, and there's a lot of people out there who need my help. I think it's really important for people to go out there and try to find people that, you can help instead of
Hmm.
just sitting back and kind of seeing what comes to you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even realize, all the rights and the powers they have. And so, I think it is important to go out there and try to find people who may not have considered seeking legal help, but also to empower people who do come to you with problems, even
Hmm.
if you can't personally help them, which often is the case, unfortunately, with my job. At least explain to them, what their resources are.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't help you. I'm not the type of attorney. Maybe I just, I can't afford to do it. I can't afford to represent you on a pro bono basis in this
Hmm.
kind. But, these are your rights. This is, what I think your situation is about. And these are the people to contact. Here are some people within my network, or here are some free resources you can use to go ahead and kind of empower yourself. And that's important because obviously we all like to advocate for people. There's that tension between, helping people all the time and also making sure you help yourself. And, when you can't help someone, it's just important to make sure you empower them to find the right resources, I think.
And that's really important to mention because I've never actually used a resource of an attorney, and I'd imagine that some people who reach out for the first time, maybe it's a small business or maybe it's somebody who needs some counsel. How does somebody get started with that? And maybe I'm asking like with the pretext of saying people who are watching this, but I
Sure,
honestly
sure.
I don't even know.
Well, the easiest way to get started with, finding an attorney is to just simply Google it. Boise attorneys in my area, obviously. But unfortunately, when you just Google something, you're not going to find the right result right away. And for everyone out there listening right now, if they have a legal question or a legal problem, they should contact the Idaho State Bar Lawyer Referral Service. Because Idaho State Bar Lawyer Referral Service, they have a list of hundreds and hundreds of attorneys who specialize in all different types of practice areas. And what happens is when you call them up, what they will do is they will refer you to the right attorney. Or at least an attorney who can refer you to another attorney, because finding an attorney is very difficult, and it's kind of another barrier for people really getting access to the type of help they need. So the State Bar, which is the organization which regulates and licenses attorneys, has an entire referral network there where you can call them up, and whether or not you were hit by a car, or you got arrested, or you just have a question about starting a small business, or maybe you feel like someone's discriminating against you at work, or kind of any litany of these issues, go ahead and talk with them, and it's free of charge, and I think it's a great resource, and it's a good place to start.
I'll link it for sure. No, I think that's something really good to mention for anybody who's watching this. And then, so I got to ask, what's a day-to-day like? Are you in a courtroom? Are you handling paperwork? Are you doing research? I guess every day is different, but can you give an example of maybe what a typical day is like for you?
My day is a lot different from a lot of different attorneys' days. If you would ask a criminal defense attorney what their day is like, they would say they're in court all the time. If you would ask, a natural resource law attorney what their day is like, they'll probably say, well, I lobby a lot, or maybe I do a lot of research. Because I have such a diverse practice, my day consists of talking with clients, mainly on the phone, trying to figure out, what their problem is, and then seeing if I can help or not. So a lot of communication with clients, and after, I find a client that's a good fit, what I'll do is I'll look in their legal issue, which requires a little bit of research, and then usually, I'll either start drafting up a contract that they need, or, if they're in a dispute with somebody, I'll communicate with the other attorney. I'll probably send a letter or something like that, start the process of negotiating and resolving a dispute. None of that works. In litigation standpoint, at least, then, you file a lawsuit. And it used to be the case way back when, 6 months ago, where you'd have to go to court and physically appear in person and stand up in front of a judge in a suit and tie and kind of advocate on behalf of your client. And you still have to advocate on behalf of your client, but the litigation process looks a lot different now. So I'm finding myself in a lot more Zoom meetings, a lot more video conferences with either other attorneys or with a judge. And so it's been really interesting to see, the whole practice of law is changing. And I think it's for the better, because it allows people to, appear in court from their house. They don't have to get in a car and, drive to a weird courthouse. Neither do I. And so it's kind of a level the playing field with, who can practice law and who can have access to legal services, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up, because I didn't think about, I've considered just even driving by the courthouse, you see, people have to take time out of their day. They have to request a day off. They have to go get their right attire.
Seriously.
Get parking.
It's another barrier, having to, appear at court. I mean, you're right. All those things you said are correct. Have to take time off of work. What if you have children, have to provide for childcare, things like that. So, that's one thing that has been encouraging about the pandemic and the social situation we're in right now, is people are starting to finally realize, some of the old dogs in the practice of law are finally waking up and realizing, you don't have to drive an hour and a half to just stand in a courtroom for 5 minutes and have the judge tell you when you can hold trial.
Exactly.
A lot of this stuff can be done remotely.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago, I was driving out to Canyon County, 2 or 3 times a week, just to have, 5 or 10 minute hearings in front of a judge, and I'd have to get dressed up in a suit, and my client would have to take time off of his job, and we'd have to go out there together. And don't have to do that now, or for the most part, you know.
Yeah. So you're finding a lot more efficiency in your day, it sounds like. And I guess the system is finding a lot more efficiency as well.
Yeah, I mean, even the fact, you know, that we're able to talk, you know, just over a phone, I think is pretty awesome. You know, I just
Yeah.
logged on and we're able to have this, you know, this interview, which, you know, I'm having a great time with, and it's more efficient. So I don't know. That's what I've seen in my industry is a lot of positive things.
Yeah, a lot of things are definitely changing, and I think there is that realization to what you just said. You know, the old dogs are you're starting to see, well, what is efficient? What is just we're doing it for the sake of tradition, or what is it that we're
Sure.
doing for the sake of just doing it almost? But so you mentioned the Idaho State Bar Lawyer Referral Service, and then I think right now even just referring a client to a potential other attorney if you're not the right fit or if you can't take the client on. But do you have to have a designation as an attorney in terms of what it is that you're specializing in, or is there just like a general practice, almost like a physician or anything like that?
You know, you don't necessarily have to have a special type of designation to
Hmm.
practice law in a certain area. Certain attorneys do specialize in certain areas. Some attorneys feel like they can take on whatever case you know comes their way. Other attorneys specifically market themselves to be a different type of attorney. Um,
Hmm.
but for everyone listening out there, I think it's important to if you're ever in a situation you know that you need legal help, then talk to a whole bunch of different types of attorneys because just like doctors, it's always important to get you know kind of a second opinion on it. And I think it's just important to explore your options rather than you know listening to an attorney and saying, oh well, you know he sounds smooth or I don't know what he's
Yeah,
talking about. Might as well go with him because it
yeah,
is a different language, you know. And so it's important to really dig down deep and do your research and one person
yeah.
might have one perspective and another person might have another perspective.
I don't know why I just thought about like a used car salesman, like the old, prototypical checkered
Yeah,
suit, like just coming
for
up.
sure, for
I
sure.
like a suit, and then just kind of saying, all right, well, I'm gonna go
You,
with
you,
him.
you want to make sure you know you do your due diligence because even if someone is giving you good legal advice, which the majority of our profession, you know, I think at least the people I've encountered, they're going to shoot straight.
Hmm.
They may be a lot more expensive than another attorney, and the rate's different too. I
Yeah.
mean, someone might charge you know $400 an hour for something that another person might be able to do for $200 an hour. And so it's important to shop around for attorneys and don't just go with the first thing you see.
And in the field of attorneys, do you ever find like if you do end up taking it to court or you get into the dispute where like you're arguing for the defendant or the plaintiff or whoever, do you ever is there ever bad blood between attorneys or like even judges if you feel like it was unfair or something like that?
Yeah, you know, I try to avoid those situations, and for the most part, a lot of people are very civil,
Hmm.
but a lot's at stake sometimes. I mean, either it's your liberty or it's your property, and because the client has a lot invested with it, you know, oftentimes the attorney does have a lot invested in it too. And I've had cases where I've been had a great working relationship with the other side and had a great working relationship with the judge. And I've had cases where I haven't had a good working relationship with the other attorney or the judge, and you know, to be honest, like I've been in rooms before where I've been, you know, you literally yelling at the other attorney and the other attorney yelling back at me, and that's not a good situation to be in. That's not productive. And
Right.
I've been in the courtroom before where the judge has instructed another attorney, you know, to sit down and not, you know, not very kindly and just basically ordering them to sit down. So it can be contentious, and that's part of the job.
That's tough. Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, nobody ever really goes in there trying to go for like the neck, but I think sometimes things can escalate, and it's just I mean, you have to see these people again, right? You have to see the
Yeah.
judge, you have to see the other attorney again. Here's another very entry level question. Is there a difference between an attorney and a lawyer, or is it essentially the same?
It's essentially the same. You know, technically, an attorney is someone who's licensed, but a lawyer is it's used interchangeably now.
Okay. And as far as licensing or the licensure, um, so you passed the Idaho State Bar. how does it work in other states? Let's say you relocated to another state, or I don't know if you ever like have a client that somehow got in a dispute, like if it's a business that got in a dispute in another state. Are you able to practice or represent in other states?
I am able to practice and represent in other states depending if I'm barred there. But usually each state just controls their own separate jurisdiction.
Hmm.
So your license in Idaho usually only can serve Idaho clients. You can co-counsel with other states. You have a friend who's an attorney in California and they have a client with a legal problem there. You can certainly do that. But usually it's just you have to find an attorney in your specific state.
Okay. And so we've talked a little bit about just your job, what it is that an attorney does, the ins and outs. I want to make sure that we don't go too over time, but can you talk a little bit about the process of how you got to where you're at right now? I mean, from I guess even we can go as far back as high school.
Yeah, in high school, I was always interested in practice of law. I went to undergrad, um, and I did a little bit of pre-law classes. But what I learned after undergrad is you can get any degree.
Hmm.
You could get a degree in dancing, English, chemistry, pre-med, whatever it is. You can go ahead and use that degree to go on to law school. So you need a bachelor's degree, from a college or university. And then after that, you go ahead and, you apply to law school. And for me, I went to undergrad and I was interested in the practice of law. And after undergrad, I worked in politics briefly and I wanted to get my law degree. And so I went ahead and applied to university and I started studying law. And I wanted to be an entirely different attorney than the attorney I ended up being. And so I didn't really know what it went to be an attorney. I don't have any attorneys in my family. There wasn't really any attorneys to give me advice. It
Hmm.
just seemed like a powerful degree, something that would help me and help others. And so I kind of just applied and went with it. I learned throughout law school about the different types of practice of law. And then, I entered the profession. I realized, what I learned with law school really wasn't that helpful after all, anyways. It's a degree that you need to have, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you necessarily learn the skills you need in law school, but you do learn, to study very hard and, learn the legal language and, you make connections along the way, which is great. And, you have camaraderie with your classmates, but I never thought I would be in this specific situation doing what I'm doing now. I always thought, it would look something like this, but it's interesting how your progression, your professional career kind of goes. But it's always important to be open to new opportunities. Try as hard as you can, whatever you do, be competitive. And those traits will serve you well, usually.
And so you mentioned that you wanted to get into law from the start, from like high school, but then you also had considered different, I guess, fields or specific focuses. What do you think was a switch that led you to where you're at right now, specifically in terms of, because you had thought that you were going to go a different route in terms of being an attorney?
I think a few different switches happened. The first switch was after college. I was working for a business out in Washington, D.C., and the owner of the business had a law degree, and he even uses law degree. And he says, "Oh yeah, law degree is useful. There's a lot of interesting things you can do in life, but law degree was helpful for me to understand, how to get from point A to point B." And I'm like, well, okay, I admire this man. I admire what he does, and it sounds like he's successful.
Mhm.
So I should go ahead and try to go to law school. And then in law school, I honestly just was looking for a job. I was looking for employment, and what I did is I sent my resume out to 30 or 40 different local law firms around here, and one of the law firms decided to hire me as an intern, and I did whatever they told me to do, and I worked my butt off,
Yeah.
and then I did something entirely different than what I'm doing now. The first thing I did as a legal intern is I worked on a civil rights case, and I represented a group of inmates who were brutally injured in a gang stabbing.
Wow.
And that case lasted 4 years, and I got to appear in federal court, and I learned all about private prison corporations and how they cut costs, and I got to develop some relationships with some inmates along the way, and
Yeah.
that was a great experience. But I don't do any of that now. But I'll tell you what, all those skills I learned along the way certainly help, because I'll be able to go into my tool bag or whatever of skills, and sometimes pull out whatever is necessary to get the job done. And I learned a lot of tricks of the trade and different skills along the way.
Quick question: how many coffee runs did you have to go on when you were an intern?
I did go on a lot. I do remember, very stereotypical, like,
Yeah.
let's go the intern, go get some coffee type of situation. When I was in Washington, D.C., working as, right out of college, not in the legal field, I must have been to Starbucks 3 or 4 times a day.
Wow.
And then unfortunately, as an intern in the legal profession, we were right by a coffee shop. So every once in a while I have to go on some coffee runs, and it's kind of humiliating. It's kind of a rite of passage. Like, I would
Yeah.
never send my interns on those coffee runs, but at the same time, it's like, all right, well, whatever. I get to go out of the office. Like, I'm buying coffee, not using my own money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had to ask because I figured that there was probably some coffee runs in there.
Oh yeah, there are definitely some coffee runs.
Hey, Anthony, so you mentioned your toolkit of skills. And for anybody who's watching this that maybe is considering going into law, becoming an attorney, or just some different career in the law field, what are some skill sets or some skills, if we're talking like soft skills, that somebody would need to be successful? Maybe let's just focus on being an attorney.
Sure. I want to say, like, everybody watching this feed right now, I have 100% confidence they can do the job. Like, there is nothing special about being an attorney. There's nothing special about going to law school. I want to encourage everyone watching, if they have any interest in being an attorney at all, no matter who you are, or, what you think your skill set is, and explore that. Because really, all you need is you just need to be committed. You need to be competitive. You need to care about what you're doing, be passionate about it. And if you think, being an attorney is something that you would like to do, then go ahead and talk to other attorneys, and find mentors out there, and talk to anyone, you think is, worthwhile talking to. I mean, if anyone likes what I'm saying today, or if they're curious, and please go ahead and message me on Instagram or whatever you feel comfortable with, and I'll help you along the process, because we need more people out there who want to go to law school. We need people out there who want to be attorneys, and an attorney isn't someone who acts a certain way, or looks a certain way. Attorney is anyone. A successful attorney is anyone who can, who's passionate about it and who wants to advocate, on behalf of their clients. So there's nothing special. There's no special sauce out there. We are all equipped with the skills to do the job I'm doing right now.
That's extremely insightful. I really appreciated that, and I also didn't even think about it. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a lawyer or an attorney who's out there and like just doesn't look like they care about the case or the client that they're representing. That'd be a tough look for them to continue getting business, I'd imagine. But
we need more good people out there. We need more people of all different walks of life, communicating with all different types of people. And it's important. I think with all jobs you need that, but especially with attorneys, because our practice, it's healthier, when we have diversity, and it's healthier when there's a lot of people who have different skill sets, who want to come in and do things a different way. It's not good to just do things the same way over and over again. A lot of traditions should be broken. And so, if you have an interest in it and, you never thought about it, well, I encourage you to look deeper into it.
that's awesome. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you also, offering to help out, because I encourage people to look into it and just, try to find a little bit more. That's actually why we're having this AMA, so people can learn more about something that maybe they're not sure to really explore yet. And it's just that initial sort of hey, you know what, you can do it, or hey, there are these resources, or hey, I know a person. So that's really cool. I really appreciate that. Uh, one other question, because I wanted to touch on your apparel business, because I
Sure.
think that's really cool. How'd you start that, and how do you manage to have time to run an apparel business on the side?
Well, I'll tell you at the upfront that I don't have time to run a successful apparel business. What I'm doing right now, it's a side project.
Yeah.
It pays the cost. I'm not getting rich off it at all,
Mm.
but it's something where I get to kind of use kind of my creative energy to design logos, and it's really cool and it feels really good when someone's wearing my logo because my logo has a message.
Yeah.
And the apparel business is Keep Idaho Public, and the message is let's continue to promote access to public lands, so we can fish and hike and camp, all over Idaho. And I always had a concept for doing something creative, and then a friend of mine, and I think she's watching right now, Casey Drews, uh, she came up with a slogan, Keep Idaho Public. She's like, you know what, I think that's a cool slogan. I would buy something with Keep Idaho Public on it. And I said, well, that sounds good to me. And so designed the logo, went through a few test runs, with a designer. And then, I kind of shopped out the concept, the Instagram, and had my friends weigh in on what logo they like the best. Picked a logo. And then for me, as someone who advises small businesses all the time, I wanted to go the process of saying, okay, well, I give people advice on small businesses, but how does this actually work? And so I learned it. I went ahead and I learned what it meant to, what the process was to go ahead and create a company, create a bank account, talk to the IRS, get your EIN number from the IRS, create a website, create a product, market it, and sell it. And I think a lot of people like it. Unfortunately, it's not something where I can, really devote, my full time to. So it's never really grown into, a big business or anything like that. But it is cool because people do enjoy the product. And, every once in a while, I'll find someone walking down the street, with Keep Idaho Public shirt or hat on. And it feels pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have, passions and side projects and stuff like that. And, just because you choose a profession doesn't mean you can't do fun stuff outside of the profession. And, sometimes it makes money, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're enjoying it, it's a good outlet for, creative energy.
Yeah. And that's a very important point to make, because I think, yeah, you're not completely glued to that one profession. I mean, I don't know if you personally know any rapping attorneys, but I'm sure that like somebody could go in and become a rapping attorney.
I wish I was a rapping attorney. I do not have the lyrical ability to spit bars, but I wish I did. I wish I could be that person, but no, I don't have the talent to do that. But if you are, an attorney who moonlights as a rapper, like, for sure, go do
bars and bar exams.
Yeah, that's great. Bars and bar exams, spitting bars and passing bars right there. Maybe going to the bar afterwards. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, Anthony, we're coming up on time, so I just want to make sure that we're respectful to your time. And again, we just appreciate you coming on. If there's one thing that you could say to, I want to say younger Anthony, but I also want to just say anybody who's watching this either live or, when it's up on YouTube or on Instagram, is there anything you've really dropped some great things about anybody can do it, the commitment, the care, and
yeah,
what is one piece that you'd like to leave anybody watching this with?
I think it's important to always question why people do things a certain way. I think it's important to be competitive, and I think it's important to be respectful, of the process. But always ask, after you've gone through that process, like, is this the right way about going about things? Am I doing things the right way? Or are other people doing things the right way? Is there a more efficient way to do things? If there's a more efficient way to do things, why aren't we doing that? Are we not doing it because someone says we shouldn't do it? Am I not doing it because someone told me this is not the right way to go? Am I not being creative enough with the way I'm doing things? But be inquisitive, be curious, and it's okay to kind of question why you're doing something a certain way. have that, introspective analysis, but also why someone else is doing it a certain way. Why, as an attorney, I question all the time, why do I have to go to court and wear a suit and tie? And that's the way it's been done. It's formal, but I don't know. Sometimes it's okay to evolve, and we evolve as people, as a species, but we also evolve, as a community and as a society. And evolution is good for the most part. So question what you're doing. Why am I doing this? Is this a good idea? Why is someone else doing it? And if you can't come up with a good answer, think about a better way of doing it.
That's awesome. That's honestly a really good way to put it. And yeah, I mean, you can't make improvements if you don't ask and you don't make the change.
For sure.
Things aren't going to happen on their own. So
no, they're not. They're not. You got to ask the questions. So, anyways, it was fantastic being with you, and I appreciate the opportunity. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions about the practice of law or anything in general, then feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm not sure my Instagram handle's being displayed right now, but it's Anthony Shallat, Shallat. Just feel free to shoot me a message. And thanks again for the opportunity. This was great.
No, thank you. I should say the pleasure's all mine, but no, definitely appreciate you coming on here, and great insight into just everything. So appreciate having you, and Anthony, thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Sure. Thanks, Buck the Quail, for giving me the opportunity. Have a good night, everybody.
Anytime. All right. Bye, guys.
Take care.